Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, bringing you our second game of the week for Week 7, and it's a pretty dang good one. An American Athletic Conference matchup between Central Florida and Memphis. Now, I know to some people outside of Central Florida fans and outside of Memphis fans, you'll look at this game and say, well, why is this the second game of the week? It's an unranked matchup. It doesn't have any playoff implications or anything like that. And I have two answers for you. The first one is, while it doesn't have playoff implications or anything like that, it could still have New Year's Six bowl game implications, because the winner of this game keeps their New Year's Six bowl hopes alive. They keep their conference title hopes alive, while the loser of this game basically eliminates themselves from any sort of that conversation. The second thing is, Week 7 has already been crazy, guys, and we really are just a few games into it. You know, we saw a great matchup in Baylor and Oklahoma State. That game was postponed not too long ago, earlier in the week. Our second game of the week was going to be, it would have been that one, but when that was canceled, we were going to do LSU Florida. That game postponed due to COVID-19. Cincinnati-Tulsa, while we were not going to discuss that too much, that game has been postponed to COVID-19. So all of those big games that were postponed this week alone. And we said in our Week 7 predictions video, we were going to struggle to find 5 games to put up here, 5 marquee matchups for Week 7. We struggled to do that, and we've been throwing a couple of curveballs this week. We're making do with what we have, and this was one of our top 5 games of the week, and it certainly will live up to that as well. So Central Florida, Memphis. Great matchups over the past few years. First thing we want to talk about is the spread. Central Florida is favored by 3 points in this game. Just a field goal over the Tigers on the road. And remember, that spread brought to you by betnow.eu. Check out everything down in the description below, but specifically that link. You can use our promo code GRIDIRON over there for that 100% sign-up bonus. And it is by far the best betting site out there, in my opinion. We've loved working with them for the past year or so. We use them every single week. And you can get some great spreads, some great offers, great opportunities for any sport you can think of right over on betnow.eu. So make sure to go give them a look and sign up with our promo code by using that link in that description. So Central Florida, a 3-point favorite. And we mentioned, again, this is a big game. And many would say, well, it's just one game. You know, each already has a conference loss, but even if the loser of this game, they're not eliminated. Look at the schedules coming up for Central Florida and Memphis. The Knights still have a game at Houston and a home game against Cincinnati, who is the 8th ranked team in the country right now. Memphis still has a road game at Cincinnati, a road game at Navy, and a home game against Houston. So big matchups coming up for these two teams, which means this is a must-win game for both of them, considering they each have a conference loss already. Central Florida losing a few weeks ago to Tulsa at home. Memphis losing to SMU on the road just a few weeks ago. So let's take a look here. Let's take a look at a few numbers here. First, UCF has won 13 straight against Memphis. That might be pretty hard to believe. I think it was to me when I was doing a little digging on this. We've seen some classic matchups between Memphis and Central Florida already over the past few years. So the fact that the Knights have won 13 straight over the Tigers was kind of surprising. They've won 4 games against the Tigers in the past 3 years combined. 2017 and 2018, they won 4 games in that span, 2 of those coming in American Athletic Championship games. They did not face last year, so they've had a little bit of a break. Memphis has had a little bit of a break, and they're hoping to finally snap that losing streak and keep their New Year's Six bowl hopes alive. Remember, the Tigers were the American Athletic Conference champions last year and did make the Cotton Bowl as the highest-ranked Group of 5 champion in 2019. During this long streak for the Knights, 4 of the 6 games have been played in Memphis. So 13 straight wins for them. 4 of the 6 games that have been played in Memphis have been decided by 7 points or less. And I've got a pretty good feeling that we are going to be in store for another one-possession game on Saturday. So let's take a look at their offense. Both offenses here. We'll start with the away team like we normally do. And if you have followed any of these teams, either of these teams, you know that the offense is the strength for the Knights and the offense is the strength for Memphis. That's no surprise, and it shouldn't be a surprise on Saturday. you're going to see a lot of yards put up. You're going to see a lot of points scored. Central Florida is led by Dillon Gabriel, a guy who I think is one of the top quarterbacks in the country. He's already thrown for over 1,100 yards this season to go along with 9 touchdowns. So 1,100 plus yards, 9 touchdowns in just 3 games this season. He's leading an offense that's averaging 42 points per game, leading an offense that averages 582.3 yards per game. And the thing is, that's obviously a lot of yards. You're almost averaging 600 yards a game here. 385 of those are in the air. And their running game is averaging 197.3. That's one of the stats I like to look at here for the Knights is over the few years we've seen great quarterbacks come through Orlando. We have seen great quarterbacks come through Central Florida. And you always think, oh, they're a pass-happy team. They're going to air it out. And that's true. But the Knights have such an underrated running game. Almost 200 rushing yards per game. Otis Anderson leads the way this season with 194 yards and 2 touchdowns. They've got another capable running back in Greg McCray. He's got 149 yards and 2 touchdowns as well. So I think even though both offenses are electric here, I think UCF owns that offensive edge. I certainly think they own that rushing edge, even though Memphis, which we'll touch on in a second, is averaging more rushing yards per game than the Knights. Memphis and UCF, both very balanced. But to me, Central Florida owning that offensive edge, a little bit more explosive. It can score at will if you're going to allow them to. Memphis, again, a great offense led by another great quarterback, a veteran quarterback in Brady White. This is a guy that, remember, Memphis has only played 2 games. UCF has played 3. Neither team has hit the field in 2 weeks. Each of these teams' last games were on October 3rd. Both of them, ironically, resulting in losses. So each team hungry to get back on the field, each team hungry to redeem themselves. Brady White, in 2 games, has thrown for 576 yards and 7 touchdowns this season, although he has thrown 3 interceptions. 7 touchdowns, though, just 3 interceptions. He's leading an offense that's averaging 32 points per game and over 500 yards per game as well. So, again, I would be shocked if we see this game where the combined yardage is less than 900. There's a very good chance you could see this game get above 1,000 yards and each team well into the 30s, if not higher, in this game down in Memphis. So White is leading this team. He is the undisputed leader, and we knew he was going to have to step up because they were going to be without their star running back in Kenneth Gainwell. He opted out months ago, about 2 months ago. But still, Memphis, through 2 games, I know you can't too much stock into that, they're still averaging 213.5 rushing yards per game. So that's pretty good, and that's great that you're taking that load off of Brady White. You don't want to make him have to do everything by himself. And Memphis is doing everything in their power to prevent that. Keep in mind, Brady White also has one of the best wide receivers in the conference in DeMonte Coxey. Had a great game a few weeks ago and is looking to continue that now at home against the Knights. When you look at the defense, guys, that is an area where neither team is particularly strong, but an area that in a game like this is where the game will be won. Which defense, to me, is going to make the most plays? Which defense is going to step up? In a game like this, and we've said this so many times over the years, in games like these where you know there's going to be a lot of points scored, you know there's going to be a lot of yards put up, sometimes one turnover or one stop is all it's going to take for you to win this game. If you are just trading scores, that's sometimes all it takes. Sometimes all it takes is holding a team to a field goal, and then you march down there and score a touchdown. Sometimes just one of those has to happen, and you're able to win a game where it's going to be a shootout. So that is what's going to happen here with these 2 defenses. Central Florida, their defense, kind of like their running game, usually underrated, but not looking too hot this year through 3 games. They're allowing 27.7 points per game. Not a horrible mark. Could be better. But they are allowing 456 yards per game. And the number that I'm concerned about, I have 2 numbers, one for Central Florida, one for Memphis. The one I'm most concerned about with the Knights is that they're allowing 212 rushing yards per game, which is funny. They're allowing that many yards. Remember, Memphis is averaging 213.5, so basically right on the money, right at Memphis's average. That's how many yards UCF is allowing per game. So that's a major concern here. If Brady White doesn't have to do much in this game and Central Florida can't figure out how to stop the run, then there's no doubt in my mind that Memphis will win this game. No doubt in my mind Memphis will win this game if they can continue to run at will and exploit that UCF offense or defense that's allowing over 200 rushing yards per game. That's really, really bad. But the big thing that UCF does well, though, is while they might not be great at stopping the run, while they might not have a great defense overall, they are very good at forcing turnovers. Very, very good at forcing turnovers. Remember, we've seen them play through 3 games this season, and the Knights have already forced 12 turnovers. Central Florida has already forced 12 turnovers, so they're averaging 4 turnovers per game that they're forcing defensively. And again, in a game like this, that is going to be huge. Any offensive opportunities that the Knights are given, they will score. They will score. So Memphis has to do a very good job of taking care of the football. And if Central Florida continues to create opportunities for their offense, then there's no way that they're going to lose this game either. No way they're going to lose this game. Memphis, on the other hand, it's interesting. They're very similar to Central Florida. They're allowing 27 points per game, so not even a full point difference there. They're allowing just 100 rushing yards per game, so that's one area where they're different. I don't expect McCray or Otis Anderson to have a great day on the ground. Don't expect many yards from them. Don't expect a major performance from them. But you can expect a major performance from Dillon Gabriel in this passing game, because the Tigers have only played 2 teams, Arkansas State in their season opener, and then SMU 2 weeks ago, where they got torched by Reggie Robertson and Shane Buechele. Over 2 games this season, Memphis is allowing 386.5 passing yards per game. UCF is averaging 385 passing yards per game. So it was interesting. Remember, there's a 1.5 yard differential here in the amount of rushing yards per game that UCF is allowing and the amount of rushing yards per game Memphis is averaging. There's a 1.5 yard differential here in the amount of passing yards per game that Memphis is allowing and the amount of passing yards per game UCF is averaging. Each has a very bad statistic. It's ironic that it's by the exact same value, and it's ironic that these 2 defenses really, statistically, on paper, are very, very similar. So it's pretty wild how that really played out here, but that's both very concerning numbers. Can Memphis control the game on the ground, and can Dillon Gabriel have his way against a very abysmal Memphis secondary that hasn't had an answer for the 2 quarterbacks to Arkansas State, and then certainly didn't have an answer for Shane Buechele just a few weeks ago in Dallas? So what are going to be the keys for this game, guys? Remember, this is a must-win. You hate to say these are must-win games this early in the year, but for the Knights and the Tigers, you have to. If either one of these teams wants to have a chance to get to the American Athletic Championship game, to challenge Cincinnati, to challenge SMU for maybe that New Year's Six bowl spot, they've got to win this game. Central Florida, the first thing they have to do is stop shooting yourself in the foot. If you have watched any Central Florida football games over these past few weeks, you know how sloppy their play has been, how undisciplined their play has been. Listen to this. This is unreal, guys. They have committed, through 3 games, Central Florida has committed 45 penalties. 45 penalties this season for Central Florida. That's averaging 15 penalties a game. 15 penalties a game for a total of 314 yards. That's unreal. And guys, that's coaching. That is coaching. You cannot have stupid penalties. So many false starts for the Knights this year. Some stupid, unsportsmanlike conduct play. Some pass interference calls. You've got to nip that in the bud, and you've got to hope that Josh Heupel has stressed that to his team over these past 2 weeks, because they cannot win games when they are penalized like that. And we saw that 2 weeks ago when they blew a huge lead against Tulsa and saw their 21-game home winning streak snapped against the Golden Hurricane. UCF has to be disciplined. They've got to be disciplined. Stop committing penalties, at least not as many, and take care of the footballs. They've turned the ball over 5 times this season. And when you move as fast as the Knights do, that's bound to happen. They really, to me, more than anything, just play smart football. There are some teams that in a given year don't even have 15 penalties, don't even have 20 penalties. And, they're averaging that per game. That's unreal. For Memphis, what they need in this game is a very strong start. Let's look at the 2 performances we've seen from the Tigers so far. Against Arkansas State, they let the Red Wolves hang around a little bit longer than they probably should have. Memphis was leading that game just 21-17 in the third quarter. And had it not been for some costly Arkansas State turnovers, the Red Bulls could have made that game a lot closer and very well could have won the game at the Liberty Bowl. A couple weeks ago against SMU, Memphis was trailing 24-3 early in the second quarter. They were not awake and prepared for that game. Granted, it had been nearly a month since they played football, but they did not look good. They did battle all the way back, tied it up at 27 before losing on a game-winning field goal. But I'm telling you now, if Memphis finds themselves down 24-3 this early in the game, early second quarter, midway second quarter against UCF, they're not winning. I know you could say, well, Tulsa did it. Tulsa came back, 18 against Central Florida? They did. Josh Heupel and the Knights aren't going to make that same mistake again. They're not going to be playing in the rain like they did down in Orlando. They are not, hopefully, going to commit as many turnovers and penalties as they did in that game. So Memphis has to start fast because they cannot afford a slow start. They cannot afford to build up a deficit here at home, of all places, because if they do, the Knights are certainly not going to relinquish it. And then their final key for Memphis is making sure you try to force UCF to run. You know, if your secondary can finally step up and not get burned by Dylan Gabriel in this passing attack, I'm not confident that Central Florida's rushing game can win the game by itself against this Memphis rushing defense. I praised UCF's offense, their rushing offense, a few minutes ago. And I do believe they're underrated, and I believe they have a lot of talent. But Memphis, again, is only allowing 100 rushing yards per game. Now, granted, A-State and SMU don't run the ball nearly as much as they pass it. Same can be said for Central Florida. But if you shut down Dylan Gabriel, force some turnovers, rattle him early, or just make life difficult for him, can't find open receivers, Josh Heupel and his guys might have to find a new way to try to win this game, and it's not going to be on the ground. So that's what Memphis needs to try to do here to keep themselves in this one at home. A big, big game for Ryan Silverfield in just his third game as the head coach of Memphis. We're not going to count that Cotton Bowl loss to Penn State. So what is going to happen? Memphis, Saturday afternoon. Finally a game that is not, hopefully, fingers crossed, in the next 24 hours, going to be canceled or postponed. Well, I can tell you again, Vegas has it as a 3-point favorite for UCF. The Knights favored by just 3. 4 of the last 6 games in Memphis have been decided by 1 possession, have been decided by 7 points or less. You can expect the same thing again this Saturday. You can expect a high-scoring game this Saturday, because I talked a lot about the defense. Let's be honest, guys, they're not going to show up. Who are we kidding? This is Central Florida and Memphis. They're not known for defense. They're known for offense. If you've watched any of their games in the previous years, their defense has never showed up, and I don't know why they'd show up now. But I think this is a game where Central Florida comes out and dominates, at least right off the bat. It is going to be close, but they're going to dominate at the beginning. And here's what I'm saying about that. When they do that, you're going to see a Central Florida team that looks completely different than we've seen in their loss to Tulsa, than their win against Georgia Tech. They're taking care of the football. They're not committing many penalties. They're coming out with a lot of fire and a lot of passion because they're angry. They were the 11th ranked team in the country when they lost to Tulsa, guys. Let's keep that in mind. Fell from 11th to unranked after 1 loss. They're going to come out with a fire. And I believe they come out and they win this game in Memphis. I believe they win this game in Memphis. They don't win it by more than 7. I think it's a very close game yet again. Even though they come out strong, come out fast, and they do everything that we don't want to happen if you're Memphis. We need Memphis to have a fast start. The Tigers will settle in like they did against SMU, and they'll make it a game. We've seen that countless times before in these matchups. But Josh Heupel and his Knights will come on the road, extend UCF's winning streak to Memphis to 14. 14 straight games over the Tigers. And Memphis, the team that won the American Athletic Conference last year, will practically be eliminated from the conference title game this year, just 3 games into their season, while Central Florida keeps their New Year's Six bowl hopes alive and will set up a major showdown against Cincinnati here in a few weeks, one that will greatly determine the American Athletic Conference standings and the New Year's Six bowl game race. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. We've got the Central Florida Knights going on the road, taking care of Memphis. Should be a great one of the better games of Saturday afternoon. Make sure to check out everything down in our description below. Again, if you love college football, you will love everything in the description. that link to betnow.eu. Go place your bets over there for this weekend. Use our promo code Gridiron and use our expert picks, our spread picks for games like this and every other college football game are over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for those. Sign up for our weekly newsletter. Sign up for our Patreon account and make sure to view all the exclusive content offers we have for you down there as well. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great and safe college football Saturday. And we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.